Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We are talking wellness today. Going to give it a few seconds and let some folks join in. Jennifer, Ellen, it's so nice to have you today.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be here.
Well, today we are talking wellness. We talk about wellness a lot at Lisa's Care Connection. Wellness is one of our 3 pillars of offerings. Support, education, they're so important, but sometimes we put that third wellness pillar on the back burner. And we know from research that wellness, self-care, it's so important to caregiving. But now more than ever, caregivers are showing in recent studies and indicating that they're experiencing a lot more physical and mental stress as a result of the pandemic. So I think we're all feeling that way. So today, we're going to take some time to talk about some tools and some strategies that caregivers specifically can use. But it's also good strategies for all of us to use as we're trying to deal with all of this uncertainty in the world. So today, we have a special guest, 2 special guests with us, Jennifer Hannes with Yoga for Caregivers. She's the founder and creator. And we also have Ellen McKay with us, who is the program director for Yoga for Caregivers. So thank you both for joining us.
Thanks so much. We're excited to be here.
We're so happy to have you guys here. We've been connecting over the past few months with you guys in various capacities. So it just seems like a natural progression for us to kind of share what you guys are doing and help our caregivers get connected to your services. We are the Care Connectors, right? We're all sharing the same mission here. So before we really dive into what Yoga for Caregivers is and how that could benefit our community, let's just take a moment to start with the basics. Let's go to what is wellness? We hear that so much these days. So for you all at Yoga for Caregivers, just try to help us understand and get to a foundational understanding. What does wellness mean to you?
Sure. Well, I think first we can start with a really basic definition that's given to us from the World Health Organization, and that is that the state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity is wellness, right? So it's a state. And so we view that really as a lifestyle, right? And you have to take an active role in creating healthy lifestyle habits. And so we like to think of this in a really holistic framework when we think about what wellness means to us and sort of the pillars of our community. And that is social, right? So a social wellness, emotional health, your psychological health. We think about your environment. We think about your vocation, your occupation, and where you might be working. We think about sleep, your sleeping patterns, your nutrition. It's really a whole health view or a whole health model of really a wellness lifestyle. I don't know, Ellen, if you want to add to that.
Sure. I think wellness really begins with awareness. Really learning to check in with yourself, see how all those things that Jen mentioned are doing. How is your sleep? How is your nutrition? What's your energy level? Are you really tired today? Or maybe you're feeling, like you've got some extra energy. I think it really is a kind of a day-to-day check-in with yourself, and then following up with, today I need more rest. These are the things I'm going to do to move towards wellness today. Because I really do think that answer changes depending on your circumstances, which, especially for caregivers, can change often.
I love that. I love the awareness piece. I think that's very important. Yes, love that. So speaking of caregivers, why is wellness so important for caregivers? It's important for us all, right? So why does it matter for caregivers specifically?
Well, it matters because caregivers are at an increased risk for poor health outcomes and poor mental health outcomes. They're at an elevated increased risk than the general population, right? Because they're literally putting themselves in a vulnerable position by taking care of somebody else who's sick or ill or injured. They're doing that physical caring for someone else, and it's also mentally and emotionally draining. And I know you had mentioned at the beginning that sometimes we put our wellness on the back burner, and caregivers are notorious for putting their health, their wellness, their mental health on the back burner because they're so busy trying to take care of their loved one.
Yes. Yeah, I think we also see a lot of guilt coinciding in a strange way with wellness. Sometimes we feel as caregivers that by giving to ourselves, we're taking away from our loved one, whereas it's really the opposite. We can't give ourselves or all of ourselves to someone else unless we're really focusing on that self-care and taking care of us. Better outcomes for our care receiver means that we are caring for ourselves. So there's just this guilt that seems to circle around it, and we feel bad for doing that, and when we should be doing something else. So I love that you focus on that. Yes, very important. So let's talk about yoga for caregivers. Tell us what it is, how it came about. This is so interesting.
Well, it really came about, it was really something that was born out of the pandemic, really, because we knew that the pandemic was going to increase social isolation for caregivers. We knew that they were going to be at an increased risk for health concerns and mental health, and they absolutely have been, right? The CDC has shown us that, yes, caregivers are really overwhelmed, and they have high levels of anxiety. They even have increased suicidal ideation. And so it's really important that we take that holistic model and offer evidence-based tools that caregivers can add to their toolbox to sort of support themselves through this really difficult time. And we're all sort of experiencing high levels of anxiety together. But again, this particular group is sort of out there at home on the front lines, really, of the pandemic. And so we were just trying to think about, what could we do to give back? You know, what are some simple things that we can do to offer to caregivers to be of support?
Let me ask you, one of the things you said was evidence-based practice. Can you briefly say, what does that mean?
Yeah, it means that that the tools that we offer, yoga for care, these mindfulness and meditation practices, right? They've been researched. And so they have been demonstrated to show that they can actually help lower levels of stress, lower levels of anxiety, decrease depression, things like that. And so what yoga is evidence-based practice. It's not just a physical exercise. It's not just something that can just help you with your body movement, but it's actually been proven to help lower levels of post-traumatic stress. The VA actually has led a lot of research in their healthcare system and uses yoga as a tool to help veterans cope with stress and anxiety. And they also use a very holistic model of health and working with veterans. And so I come from a background having worked in the VA healthcare system for almost 20 years as a social worker, as a policy person, and in the caregiver space. And this really is just sort of second nature to me in working in this community and trying to deliver some practical tools. And I know Alan has a wealth of experience and has also been a caregiver and is a trauma-informed yoga teacher too. So maybe, Alan, you want to talk a little bit about evidence-based yoga?
Sure. Yes, I was a caregiver for my mom and my dad. I've been a yoga teacher since 2007. So thankfully I had a lot of the tools already in my pocket. And I was able to use them throughout my time as a caregiver. And it really helped to find that awareness, because you can't really find awareness without taking a pause. And especially in the life of a caregiver, we really don't have a lot of time for pauses and we don't really create time for pauses. So, if you can take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe you have a luxurious 30 minutes to really take that pause and find that awareness, then it can definitely decrease the feelings of chronic stress, which most caregivers are dealing with.
So as little as 2 to 4 minutes can make an impact on your well-being.
I really think so. I think it's a lot about kind of stopping the moving forward of the stress or whatever stress cycle you're in. Taking a pause, calming down the system, telling the body like everything's okay, we're okay, and allowing for a little bit of a reset. And you don't need an hour and 15 minutes for that.
Love that. That makes it seem a lot more attainable, especially for a caregiver who doesn't have that luxury. You're right.
Yeah, and it can be cumulative, right? So it's better for you to try to take a 5 minutes every day or 5 minutes whenever you can versus set aside 60 minutes for one class, right? Because that way you're taking time a little bit here and there every day. And those little increments really add up. And so that's what we really try to encourage caregivers to do, is to try to take micro steps to sort of reclaiming their health and wellness. Because we know we're not perfect at this either, right? We're all human and we're all doing the best we can do. And so we don't proclaim to be experts at this. We know how hard it is. But the key is just to take the step, however small it might be, to put yourself first and to take out that time.
Love that. So tell us how we can take that step along with Yoga for Caregivers. How do we get involved? How can our caregivers get involved?
I'll let Alan speak to that.
Sure. So we have a Facebook page, and we also have a Facebook group. Our Facebook group is private, so we really only accept in caregivers that are caregiving at the moment. And then we also have a lot of great, wonderful volunteer teachers as part of the group. But our goal for the group is to offer a wide variety of videos for a wide variety of times. So we have anything from like 3 minutes, and I think our longest class is 45 minutes, but there's only one of those. We offer a chair and some kind of breathing techniques, meditation, resilience exercises, physical yoga. So we really have a wide variety of options, also with a wide variety of time. So if you only have, maybe today you only have 3 minutes, maybe you only have 5 minutes, or maybe you've got a little bit extra. And we post our schedule every week, so all of our caregivers can see, what we've got coming up and when they can join. And also because caregivers have a pretty changing schedule, all our videos stay up on our group too. So even if you can't come at the specified time, you can always check back in whenever you're free and take part in the video.
That's my favorite part of what you guys do, because it is so unpredictable when you're caring for someone. You can schedule something as much as you like, but that doesn't mean that you're able to keep that schedule. So these videos live on Facebook. You can go access them, do them whenever you have time, choose the length of video that really fits your schedule today, which may be different than tomorrow. So how much does it cost to join this group?
It's completely free. So we are all, it's just, we really know that, not only our caregivers sometimes have a hard time with creating time for themselves, but sometimes the finances aren't, are there for other things. There's not really a lot left over maybe for them for self-care. So we want to be available to anyone that wants to join with no cost. And we just love providing that for our group.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that we also started to meet with our caregivers and sort of have like a social check-in once a month where we're talking with them about different themes that really are yoga focused, but sort of yoga off the mat, and how some of these concepts and themes also relate to roles that caregivers play, and to try to make it relatable off the mat too is something new that we're doing. So we're in our second or third month, I think, of doing that, right, Ellen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So you've already answered one of my questions. What about those who don't have time or feel like they have time? So we've covered that. What do you say to folks that think, I've never done yoga, I'm not flexible, that's not for me, that mindfulness, I don't know about that stuff? What do you say to someone like that who is really new to this arena?
Well, I think especially for the physical part, asking about flexibility, we offer all kinds of options in our classes. I know all the classes I teach. I'm usually on my mat, but I always give options for people in a chair. So you can do it either way. We have a specific chair yoga class, and then we have a couple other mat classes. So it really, again, is pretty accessible to anybody wanting to practice either on a mat, kind of in a more traditional way, or a chair or a bed, or really whatever you got. We want to make sure that we can provide for anyone that wants to join us. And I forgot your second question. I was so excited to talk about that. I forgot your second question.
No, that's great. Yeah. For those that maybe haven't tried it before, or, sometimes we hear the word mindfulness and it sounds a little unattainable. So what would you say about just encouraging folks to give it a try?
Mm-hmm. I would just say to try it out one time, maybe two, and know that we're all in the same boat. So we are all trying, teachers included, to learn mindfulness, to work on our meditation, work on relieving stress. None of us have figured it out completely. So,
that's what makes it a practice, right?
100%. I think people hear yoga and they think of all the pictures they see, in magazines or on TV. And, really the mindfulness is just as much as a practice as any kind of physical movement. And I think really that the mindfulness part and the breathing part are the tools that we can use all the time, wherever you are, grocery store, doctor's office, driving in your car, there's a lot of tools that you can pick up and take out wherever and whenever you need them.
There's a lot of myths really that surround the practice of yoga, right? One of them is that yoga is a religion. You have to be in good health to practice yoga. Like you mentioned, you have to be flexible to practice yoga. You have to be thin and skinny to practice yoga, right? There are all these myths about yoga that exist out there. And like Ellen said, the media certainly doesn't help. It certainly perpetuates some of those myths when you see people standing on their head or in all these awkward positions. And that's really not what yoga is all about. So when you join our community, we demonstrate yoga for real people in real life, where yoga is a practice that meets you where you are, wherever you might be, right? And that is totally fine. Yoga is for you, it's for your body, and is a personal experience. And we never want you to push yourself into pain. We never want you to try to replicate a pose that you might see us doing. You need to really listen to yourself and honor your own body and honor your own experience in the practice.
Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, I feel like that's a little more attainable for us ordinary folk, right? I love it. Well, this is a lot of great information. I have posted a link to your Facebook page for Yoga for Caregivers. So find it in the comments. Let us know if you have trouble finding it. We can certainly help you with that. But before we wrap up, I wonder if you might kind of kick off our mindfulness practice for today. And perhaps, Ellen, you could walk us through a simple breathing exercise.
I would love to. And this is just a great way to show that you can really feel a little bit better with a short amount of time. Okay, so we're going to start. A lot of people hold tension and stress kind of in the shoulder neck space, right? Have you ever kind of felt like you're wearing your shoulders like earrings kind of deal? So let's take the shoulders all the way up to the ears, give them a little squeeze. Yep, and then just let them drop. Yes, that's one of my favorite things to do. Super easy. So let's do it again. And then let it drop. Good. Okay, you can close your eyes if you want. You're not going to need to see me, just to listen. But sometimes closing the eyes can kind of help turn off some other distractions. So let's start with breathing in and out through the nose. Nice and easy. It doesn't have to be a certain length or anything like that. Just breathe in and out. Nice. So when we move into this deeper breath, you might feel your belly start to expand on the inhale, or maybe you feel the ribs expand or the chest. And then as you exhale, bring all the breath out. We'll do that a few more times, in and out. Just noticing how it affects the front of the body. So feeling that belly, rib, chest movement. And then as you continue to breathe, kind of bring that awareness around the body. So now maybe you're noticing the sides of the body. And see if you can also feel those spaces affected by your breath. Expanding on the inhale and relaxing on the exhale. Good, and then continue that awareness all the way around. So wrap that awareness around to the back of the body, from the low back to the upper back. And again, notice if any of those spaces are affected by the breath, if you can feel any kind of movement. And then bring your awareness to the whole trunk of the body. So the front, the sides, the back, and feel that full expansion on the inhale, and everything soften and relax on the exhale. Very good. And just slowly blink the eyes open. Wonderful job.
That was so easy and relaxing.
Good.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to hop on over to Yoga for Caregivers and find my first yoga video. So we hope to meet you there. Jennifer, Ellen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate what you do for our caregiving community. We love how you've adapted and really gone to an online format so that it's more accessible for all caregivers. So we just appreciate you and thank you for what you're doing and for letting us be some part of that. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you all. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Bye.